Today we're having a protest outside Andersonstown Unemployment Office. The reason we're having it up there is because some of the decision makers work up there. What we're hoping to do is go up there and present them with some letters. But the letters that we're asking is that everybody gets due process. Arlene Foster was First Minister before the government was brought down. The Ice for Cash interview, she asked for due process, but she got it, she's entitled to it. As is every worker in this country. As is everybody's accused of any crime. But the only ones don't get it are the sick, the unemployed, the most vulnerable in our society. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to address that issue to ensure that everyone in our society is treated equally. So what we're about is to try and ensure that people don't lose every penny. Because when they lose every penny, they also lose their housing benefit, which puts them behind in housing rent. When they lost every penny, what it creates is it creates more people going to these food banks, because people don't have no way of surviving. They get themselves into debt and danger, and that is no way to live. These people unemployed are not living, they're surviving.
This move comes after 3 invites to the former Minister and the current Permanent Secretary for the Department for Communities to meet with the Right to Work, Right to Welfare campaign to discuss implementation of the People's Proposal, basic due process and impact assessments in social security decisions that can stop people's final pennies. So it hasn't been taken lightly, and it's been a part of an ongoing campaign which has gathered the support of the trade union movement, cross-party support, community advice sector, various others, as well as over 1,000 people signed up at the 6 brews in Belfast. So the campaign's being brought to Andersonstown today, and it isn't about decision makers, it's about decision making. It is one of 2 decision making offices in Belfast. So every day a large amount of information funnels into Andersonstown and Hollywood social security offices, and every day decision makers in those offices, under instruction from the Department for Communities, make decisions that force people into food banks. And in a nutshell, that's what the problem is. We have decision making that is not human rights compliant. So after many years requesting to meet with the decision makers at the top, and still waiting on those meetings, the Right to Work, Right to Welfare campaign are going to do their job for them and bring these human rights checklists to social security agencies where decisions are taking place.
I've come today with Reclaim the Agenda. Our members wanted to show solidarity for the campaign being led by the Right to Work, Right to Welfare group, because Reclaim the Agenda has done a lot of campaigning on welfare changes and cuts to welfare and the impact of welfare cuts on women in particular. So we're very aware of how people are pushed into destitution whenever things like sanctions are applied. We've just seen a sort of long-term reduction in people's living standards, and charities and things like food banks having to step in and fill the gap where the state should be providing for people. And because it's been such a long process, I think we've just seen a normalisation of that, where people just expect that's the way it is now. People have accepted the messages around there not being enough money for public services and for welfare, and just expect that this is the new norm. But we really need these campaign groups to keep saying that's not the way it should be, and there are alternatives. There are ways that we can be spending on public services, and we should be investing in those. And you don't grow your economy by leaving the people with no money in their pockets and not enough money to even feed themselves, never mind actually spend and invest in the economy. And we wanted to just come here and add our voices to this campaign today to say that enough is enough, and people should never be left with their human rights and their dignity at risk because of decision makers leaving them with no income.
Well, I tell you, we're going up here today, and there's 5 families handing in separate complaints who've been impacted by these issues. A man who had a heart attack in February and who's put off his sickness benefits in March and hasn't been paid since. A woman who is suffering with cancer and is on treatment and has had all of her employment support allowance benefits stopped, and has been handed a letter to tell her to weigh in for a job seeking in Andytown Brew next week. We have another family whose mother, suffering with addiction issues, has been committed into addiction support services because of the decision to remove her income. So you've a myriad of different social health impacts on people, only some of which are represented here today.
I injured my back in November of last year and was unable to work, and I applied for ESA, and after a few weeks I was kicked off it, and I was sanctioned and made to apply for JSA, which was a fraudulent claim really, because I'm not fit to work. The whole experience was very disturbing. The whole thing with the decision maker was Kafkaesque. You don't know who it is, you don't know how they've made their decision, and it leaves you feeling emotionally battered and depressed, really, and very short of money as well. So I'm waiting to hear now what the final decision will be in my case. Well, I think it's important to be here today because the way people are being treated is against their human rights. There is nobody to ask, nobody to talk to, nobody to find out what's going on, and it leaves people high and dry.
We want everybody to form an orderly dole queue to the front door of this office. The staff inside have agreed already to accept the letters at the front desk. We want each and every one of you to sign the letters and to hand them in as a formal human rights complaint on your own behalf as a member of the public who may well need these public services.
About 5 years ago, I had a heart attack. I suffer with angina, diabetes, arthritis, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, depression. Still suffer with all those. Take 40 odd tablets a day. I went to see the big doctor. The big doctor was one of these ATOS or whatever it was you called them, and it was a young girl. She asked me a few questions, and then came the two major questions. Who washes your hair? Who cooks your food? After I answered those two questions, because I do both, thank you very much, away you go. And the next thing I was informed that I was put off the sick and put on to unemployment. I was awarded no points. I didn't appeal against it at the time because I was homeless. I just returned from England, and I was more worried about getting rehoused as I was about my money. But it was after that happened to me that I decided to join the PPR's campaign with regards to right to work, right to welfare, and trying to help other people to ensure that they don't go through the same thing that I've been through.
Last year, 22,000 decisions were made to stop employment support allowance and to issue sanctions. So that's the poorest in our society on £73 a week having their last pennies taken from them. It's unfair, it's unjust, it's most definitely a breach of human rights principles, and it is an absolute failure on the Department for Communities and also Stormont to implement a human rights compliant social security system here.